Jesus, Alex. Totally unnecessary.
Your face is unnecessary.
Your shirt is unnecessary.
Well, that's just rude.
Hello.
Hi!
Welcome your faces back.
To the channel of a story worth telling.
You'd have quite a good audiobook voice, I think.
Do you think?
Maybe you could put on a voice.
Oh, okay, fine.
Oh, we should start with a round of never have I
Never
ever.
have I ever.
Right.
Never have I ever done a never have I ever on a public video.
Never have I ever enjoyed making a YouTube video.
This is hardly engaging stuff, isn't it?
Never have I ever someone in the drink. Anyway,
welcome back. Thank you so much for all your support. We understand a lot of your opinions about our last video, considering we did some rather a different thing, which was some bad representation. So that's definitely started a conversation, I believe. But it's great to hear your points of views.
Oh, you sound like you disagree.
Well, not sure. And if you like all our content, you should notice a Patreon link down below.
Check it out. Just have a look.
Yeah.
Just have a look. So today we're doing Never Have I Ever, which is a relatively new Netflix show, which is about predominantly a Indian girl in America and her experiences through high school. And one of those characters is a lesbian.
Oh, a lesbian. And to be fair, it is long overdue because we do a lot of this and we always talk about like being really, showing different things. But I will be honest, we probably do a lot of like gay guys, and it's about time that we did women as well. And there's also a lot of things in here that have sparked really interesting like sort of conversations and forms of representation that I've never really kind of considered or seen. Yeah, it's interesting. I like it. So without further ado,
we're going to do the same thing where we look at a bunch of scenes that we like.
We're redoing my acrylic gels. I prefer a round square and maybe a tasteful ombre. Dad, what would you like? Oh, come on, try some fun nail art. I saw a girl who had ice cream cones with sassy faces.
Oh, can I get little computers?
No, that's ugly. Try something girly, like a flower or a cute bird. Hey, so, how's that group project coming?
Eleanor and I got stuck with this annoying kid, Ben, and...
Oh, sounds like someone has a crush.
What? No, I don't have a crush.
As a scientist, Fabiola was used to a clear-cut, data-driven life, which is why she was struggling with these new, complicated emotions.
Oh yeah? I mean, anytime I liked a boy in high school, I always called him annoying. Which of the boys in your class do you like?
I guess I technically have a boyfriend named Alex Gomez.
I'm so happy. I've been dying for you to have a boyfriend. Boyfriends are what high school is all about.
I want little ice cream cones.
Well, I'm on the computers.
I think that's such a like universal thing. I mean, I definitely had a lot of that when I was younger. Like the kind of enforced, you should do these things.
Do something mass.
Yeah, do something mass.
Barbecue that meat.
Dribble that ball.
Dribble that ball. Where are you?
Basketball. That's the version where it's football.
Well, I guess it's
Dribbling.
Well, sports.
Hello, how are you? I'm gay.
Yeah, I mean, I think moments like that are important. They talk a lot about how, coming to accept who you are and like saying it to yourself in the mirror is a really...
I think it's a very accurate representation of someone who's like figuring out a way to kind of deal with those thoughts and those feelings and kind of like use what's around them to process it.
I think it's almost quite a bold step though, because at that point she's decided that that label fits her best. And I think sometimes that's really hard. I mean, I know that I struggled trying to figure out how I wanted to be labeled and, viewed by other people. There's what you are and like what your sexual orientation is, and then there's labels and how you want to label it. And those things, sometimes it's quite hard to make those overlap.
Fabiola had told no one she was gay, except her robot, Gears Brosnan.
Bet you're all wondering why I've called this family meeting.
I certainly am.
What I'm about to tell you is pretty personal. I hope that you won't look at me any differently. What I want to say is that I am...
Come on, Fabiola. You can do this.
switching from AP French to AP Latin this year.
I'm a little shocked. And I gotta say, you sort of blindsided me here. This isn't the life I imagined for you.
We are so glad that you felt comfortable enough to tell us this.
It is quite funny,
yeah.
yeah, because they use like the same language. I tell you what, when I was younger though, I was in literally such a similar, like so many similar situations.
See, I'm totally different. Like
Really?
I've only ever had one conversation about it with my parents, and
But the attempted conversations.
no, never an attempted conversation.
I think
Just
for
like,
me it was very much
rip
like
off the plaster.
it was like you sitting down at a table and then being like, okay, here it goes, and then nope.
Really?
Yeah, and then again, and nope.
Abort.
Because at the time you're like, oh my god, this is the end of the known world.
Well, it's like there's no coming back from that. Once
Yeah,
once
absolutely.
It's out there, it's out there.
And then I remember when I was 17, I finally did do it. It was like, life carries on, the seconds keep going, and you're like, oh, okay, fine. And it was always at a dinner table, weirdly enough. You know, so many coming out scenes literally do take place at like tables and chairs.
Well, it kind of represents like a family thing that families do together, I guess.
You okay?
It's not like you have a huge lie threatening to tear everyone apart.
Actually, I do. They don't know that I'm gay.
What?
I'm sorry that I didn't tell you sooner. I honestly just realized.
Don't you dare apologize to me. I love this for you. And I love this for me. Finally, a gay friend.
That felt so great to say.
So, like, what's your type, though? Kristen Stewart in Twilight or Kristen Stewart in Charlie's Angels?
I think my type is kind of that girl, Eve, in our history class.
Oh, so Charlie's Angels.
Just wish Davey were here right now.
Oh, man, she's gonna freak. In a supportive way.
I like the fact that she immediately just hugs her. Because I feel like so many times in a lot of representation that we see, like, it's always about like, oh, what the other person has to say. In real life, in those moments, sometimes we don't need you to say anything. We just need you to do something like hug us. My sister did the exact same thing.
Really?
Literally one of the first things she said was, so what's your type? And it's so nice because it's like such a refreshing kind of like, it's sort of like that
Makes
thing.
light of it.
Yeah, it just kind of moves on and then it becomes really light, you know, like something you can just talk about.
You almost sold everything. Not too shabby for an event that kind of got off to a rocky start.
We should feel really lucky that we're just a normal family.
What do you mean by normal?
Love those things about you. I love everything about you.
You promise?
Of course. Where's this coming from?
I'm gay. You're disappointed. I knew you would be.
Fabiola,
And now you're making that face.
I am not disappointed. You just hit me with something really big, and I'm trying to process. I don't know what to say. Have you been trying to tell me this for a while? Honey, I love you. And there is nothing that you could ever tell me that would change that.
Really? You're okay with that?
Wait, is that what you call that weird family meeting about AP Latin? Oh, thank God. Our Marseille trip is still on.
They set her up as the kind of mother that you'd think would have the bad reaction, and then she doesn't.
Yeah, kind of a bit like controlly and a bit like over like involved in her life maybe.
And I like it where a show surprises us, because in real life I think parents are like that. You hear stories of people who like, I really thought they'd be okay with it because they were always okay, and then they weren't, or I really thought they wouldn't be okay with it, and then suddenly they were fine. Like, you never really know how your parents going to react.
I think that's something to be said there about like when you're trying to come to terms with like your identity and you want to come out. I think a lot of people get stuck in a bit of a spiral where they're trying to anticipate how their parents are going to react and get all like worked up and anxious about it. And obviously it's a massive thing, but I think we spend probably too much time trying to anticipate what the reaction is going to be, and you never really know until it happens, apart from when it's like extreme circumstances. in which safety is involved. I'll always say that. If you don't feel safe coming out.
Really good, Josh.
Thanks.
Like, 30 years time when all of our generation are having kids, there may be this kind of sense where like kids just won't have a fear of coming out.
Sorry we're late. Guess what? Sasha got us tickets to King Princess next month. You'll come, right?
Is that a play?
Are you for real? You've never heard of King Princess? And the most unproblematic lesbian.
Right.
So where can we get a drink?
Kitchen.
I really like that bit. So for me, this is like the most interesting kind of element of this story in the series. There's so many similarities between people in our community that we don't realize. I can totally relate to her as a lesbian in what she's going through. I feel like there is this huge area in which we all have to kind of start at the bottom of the ladder and learn what a gay or a lesbian or queer identity is, and whether or not we necessarily like those things. And I myself have been in that position where I've had to learn, and then I've also seen myself be the other girl there who has been like,
Are you serious?
You don't know that? Oh my god. And I can't help but think I feel bad almost, because in the past I would have always been like, what do you mean you don't know who Madonna is, And I'm like,
You've
but
come for
actually,
me on that.
I've come for you on that. And I think about it, and this was the first show that I watched, and I fully was like, I had a proper moment. Like,
I'm that girl.
I am her. We all kind of come to terms with understanding what gay is in history and as a community, what it means. And so when you've reached a limit, someone else who's lower than you, who's like just starting out, doesn't know who this person is, doesn't know that artist, or maybe doesn't identify with them as much.
Doesn't watch RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah, you kind of just you view them through a lens of like, what do you mean? Like, and I kind of think now, oh god, we shouldn't do that. I feel like we, as a responsibility as queer people, we should definitely like clue ourselves up on our queer history and educate ourselves on, really important things that have, progressed on movements and stuff. So we do share a collective knowledge of like what it means to be LGBT.
How we got here.
Exactly. And we respect and appreciate that. But we all are at different stages and we all like different things. And I do, yeah.
Just because I'm gay doesn't mean I have to watch RuPaul's Drag Race.
Totally.
I think there's just like a lot of different aspects of queer culture that we're almost kind of expected to enjoy.
Well, I think there's a difference between being ignorant of queer culture to say that you have no connection with that. To me, I've met people and they've kind of had this kind of view of which, I may be gay, but I'm not into that, or like in a judgy way. And I'm like, well, actually, that is part of your culture, whether you like it or not. That is, part of the community you belong in. That's what I mean, and where we should be respectful. Regardless of whether you like it, I'd always encourage a person to go try out a drag bar or something like that, or go to a pride event. But then there's the element of, but what do you as a person enjoy? Well, then fair enough. You don't have to enjoy, pop music. You can like this or you can like that, and you can still be gay.
But then it's really important to have this kind of people who have been out for a while, who do kind of have absorbed all of that culture, to then kind of pass it on, as it were. But maybe we should be a little bit like kinder and a bit more forgiving when it comes to.
Absolutely, I think the solution there is to not go, what do you mean you've not? And been like, oh my gosh, like let me show you. Like if you haven't, then
come along.
Yeah, come along. Yeah, absolutely. There's too many of those conversations going on, and isolating other people because what do you mean you don't watch Drag Race? Or. Instead, it should be like, oh, that's cool. Well, I prefer this. Okay, that's cool. Well,
This is why I do really badly at gay quizzes. So like,
you do bad.
Name the 7 drag queens to appear on All Stars 5. I'm like, what is All Stars 5? And whether you like it or not, those like the range of activities that kind of contribute to this like queer culture is going to be how other people view the queer community. That forms the lens through which you're seen, even if you don't participate in it. So I think it's important to kind of clue yourself up on what's going on around you within the community.
Don't be judgy. We need to not
gentle.
do that. Next!
As a champion swimmer, Paxton never worried about college.
Good afternoon, Paxton. Thank you for meeting with me.
No problem.
I spoke to your coach this morning, and due to the severity of your injury, I think we need to cast a wider net. Are your parents extremely wealthy?
No.
All right. Would you be open to being tutored?
I guess.
This girl is an academic beast.
Sorry, she didn't tell me it was you.
She was some sort of bet with your cool friends.
Okay.
Fantastic bit of trans representation there.
Yeah.
It's so good that we're seeing trans actors and actresses in roles now, and it's nothing to do with their identity.
No.
I think it's about time. It's so great to see like such a seamless kind of it just happens. And there's no, and that is kind of the goal in my eyes of what, for everyone, whether you're trans, gay, lesbian, whatever it is, it should be an ability to be represented on screen and not even necessarily have to be playing a role or a storyline that is about that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is, it's just happening.
You don't even need to bring attention to it.
No,
It's just
exactly.
being there is
it's
enough.
fantastic.
Every time that PTA woman is nearby, you start acting weird as hell. Do you not want me to meet her? Are you embarrassed of me?
No, of course not. I'm embarrassed of her.
Hey, Fab. I haven't seen you for the whole relay. Where have you been hiding?
This is Eve, my girlfriend.
Oh my gosh, it is so nice to finally meet you. Well, if you think this looks good, wait until you see what the PTA does for the winter dance.
I don't really think that that's our thing, Mom.
It's the winter dance.
It's just a popularity contest that's like super heteronormative and reinforces the gender binary.
I was Cricket Queen. Fabulous Dad was Cricket King. We were actually the first Cricket King and Queen of color.
Whoa, that's amazing. Dad, we should run for Cricket King and Queen. Cricket Queen and Queen.
Is it too early to say, "Yas, Queens"?
Mom,
It's
yes.
not too early at all.
You should come to our house and watch Carol sometime.
I love Carol.
That's a fantastic moment where it provides a really kind of an in-depth look at how we're all very similar in a way, and we share these experiences. That's all. I think that's always really good in representation, because it helps us as a viewer go, there's a whole other element of
So links and links.
Yeah, there's links and
Shared experience.
Shared experiences, absolutely. And I think it's really great. I think while I agree kind of a little bit with the whole like, oh, prom, yeah, it is. Okay, it is something like that, promotes that. But also, if you can use it effectively in a way where you further a cause, so you go to prom to be king and king or queen and queen, then I think that's a good thing to do. And also, it's a dance at the end of the day. Enjoy it.
I like proms. They're cute.
Never went to one.
I imagine they're, significantly problematic for a small number of people. That's the issue with like very Americanized shows, because proms never used to be a thing in the UK, but now they kind of have like formal like dances and like just like nights where you can get dressed up, and it's just nice to have a bit of fun.
And the thing with like heteronormative traits is that they've been around for like centuries, and they're always going to be around more than anything, because we live in a heterosexual world. We just do.
Group.
Exactly. We're a minority group. We've always been a community that's learned to adapt, and we will always adapt. And if we can push it and make it and change things, that's great. But if we have to just go, I'm going to enjoy the dance and not worry about it, then let's also do that, I guess. It's weird. I think it's only when it directly, seriously affects. So if it is like, you two can't apply to be queen and queen, then it's like, no, that's an issue. Or you can't come because you're bringing, then that's an issue. That's like how we reviewed prom.
Yeah.
However, that James Corden was an issue in that one. So
The dance committee set up their table. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Hi, would you like to nominate someone for Cricket King and Queen?
Not Paxton and Zoe. We would like to nominate ourselves as Cricket Queens.
Oh, I can't do that.
What? Why? Is it because we're two girls? Do you prefer to be complicit in queer erasure?
Stop yelling at me! Just can't leave my post right now to print out a different form because Principal Grubbs fired the rest of the dance committee.
I can just scratch out king and put queen.
Okay.
I feel like what this show does is sometimes it just goes like, it addresses the issue where we as queer people, like, we think we're on something and we're like, oh, you're, and it's like, actually it's not that. Yeah, actually it's not that. It's just like this. And you're like, oh, okay. And I feel like
most of the time that doesn't happen.
Well, I don't know. I've definitely been in situations, I think, where I have actually overreacted. And I think that's a natural thing, because we are part of a community where we've always had to kind of be on the defensive of things. We just always have been. Probably like 8 times out of 10. Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah.
But there's those occasions where like it's not that, and then you kind of have to go like, okay, sorry. In an ever-increasing world where we are, hopefully worldwide, more in the Western world now, like getting more acceptance, that we actually might find ourselves running into situations where we think we're being
coming from me.
yeah, and it's not that at all. It's like, no, it's ran out of printer paper. Like,
Let's hope
so
that's where we get to.
yeah,
That's a much better scenario.
that's
than-
actually totally.
Yeah.
I just thought it would be easier after coming out. Even with the queer girls, I feel like I'm constantly trying to fit in. 'Cause I'm as bad at being a lesbian as I was a closeted straight person.
I think what you mean is that you're bad at being Sasha and Eve. Being gay, you're fine at.
Jonah, where'd you come from?
I'm ubiquitous, Hanny. It's hard after pretending for so long to finally live your authentic life. I don't love how many straight girls feel like they can just casually call me bitch now.
Amen, bitch. Oh.
But the whole point of coming out is to get to be who you are.
We love who you are.
So, sister, be who you are.
Your cricket queen and cricket queen are
Eve Helm and Fabiola Torres.
I'm here! I'm here!
It's time for the spotlight dance. So nobody else dance out of respect, okay? If you do, you're a bigot.
Look, Eve, I have to tell you something. Pop culture, and I don't know how to use hip phrases like what's the tea, and I feel unsafe in ripped jeans. The only thing I love besides my family, friends, and you are robots.
Wait, you love me? I love you too.
Oh, I love.
You're
this.
a bigot.
You're a bigot. I think it's really good as well to show a gay man and a lesbian woman
supporting each other,
yeah, and having that moment, because so often we don't get that. And I've never really understood. There's always been that running joke that, you know, gay men and gay women don't have anything in common, and so we don't get on or whatever. But I always find that kind of ridiculous, because I'm like, no, you have the biggest thing in common, and that is literally like in the same sex people. And so actually, if anything, we can give advice. And it's interesting what he mentioned about the whole, like, you kind of have to, when you come out, you can be yourself, but then you kind of do have to deal with other shit. But I think the point is, you'd much rather be yourself and deal with that shit. Like the whole having straight women called you, like, yes, bitch. I love that bit. It's great because it's so true. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
true.
yeah. Now everybody and their brother thinks they can come up to him and be like, hey, girl. And it's like,
We'd
okay.
rather deal with that.
But
than
you
be
would.
not yourself.
Absolutely, 100%. Because I feel like those are such minor things. And if anything, a lot of them are things of kind of what people perceive to be as an approaching affectionate way, because they want to, you know, make you feel happy or comfortable. Yeah.
I think what's really nice about that scene as well is that this is, you know, a fairly mainstream show, and it's got a scene with two lesbian people that love each other, who are romantically involved, and it's not like sexualized in this horrible way.
Oh my
that
God, 100%.
Often lesbians or like, you know, bisexual women are in like straight movies.
Totally. And I think,
I
unfortunately,
hate it.
there's so much of that still. There's not enough female representation when it comes to things like sexuality or even any parts of the LGBTQ community.
There's
and
not
often
a guy being like, oh, look at those two.
Yeah,
people
and
going
often
on.
when it is really often sexualized all the time.
It's like
Unfortunately,
fetishizing lesbian experience, which is not what we want at all.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But that was Never Have I Ever.
Yeah.
And I think it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm so glad to
really
have
good.
done a story as well that covers this, hopefully a lot more. I really want to do Carol. I love that film.
I've never seen Carol, so I'm excited.
It is actually
I'm excited
such
to
a
do that
good
one.
film, and I just love Cate Blanchett. Anyway, let us know what you think.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic, the representation. I think as well, it's not just a lesbian thing. There's gay people in it, there's trans people in it. It's a really good show.
I mean, there's some really good plot lines in
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's just good fun.
We actually
Easy
kind of
watching.
like totally avoided the main plot line about Davy, which we do enjoy, and also Paxton's so hot. But it's not about them though.
Well, we hope you enjoyed.
Yes.
Drop a like if you enjoyed this
Comment,
video.
subscribe.
We mentioned the Patreon link below, so give that a look if you
And that
fancy
will
it as well.
also give you access to our Discord, where we are
Yeah.
having loads of conversations about all the things that we're doing, a lot of like personal private stories. It's a really fun new thing that we've created, and we're hoping to really create like a really strong, fun community there.
Yeah. So check it out. Coming up, our very own Victor might be making an appearance.
Mm-hmm.
And I also want you to watch Young Royals, because that's really good.
Yes.
It's
Rich gay people.
It's very yeah.
It's weird how sometimes we don't watch. That's a really interesting thing. We don't watch the same thing sometimes. We often watch different things.
But isn't it amazing that there's so much like queer stuff out there that we haven't all watched it all?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
I think that's great. And all the suggestions that we're getting are fantastic. And there's some things that I've never even heard of.
It really does
Like,
show that there is an entire archive library of things nowadays that are ever expanding, and it's great. It's absolutely great.
It's fantastic.
But it is also great to constantly kind of review them and think about,
check we're on the right path when it comes to representation.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Anyway. Yeah,
we'll see you in the next one.
Love. Bye.
Yes, queen.
Yes, queen.